Place your bets, everybody. This is going to be a thriller. The lights go out, away we go. We are racing now at Donington Park, and Rob Collard gets the jump on his Barwell Motorsport teammate. He's got the inside line into Redgate corner, although Alex Martin coming back at him on the outside. I think Collard should prevail. They're still side by side, but yes, car number one exits ahead, wide further back for Morgan Tilbrook. Around has gone Mike Price in his McLaren, and that was Charles Dawson very aggressively sweeping round the outside. He's into third already. The Mercedes, Joe, on its toes.
Yeah, it really was. I just wondered if Collard went and then stopped for the line. Looked like he went very early out the final corner, and definitely I would say Mike Price got helped around some of the GT3 cars, tripping over each other at the back. GT4 has been a pretty good start. Mark Warren has lost a place there. That's the only major change at the front of GT4, and Petrobelli looks like he's on the move as well in the 7 Aston Martin.
Yeah, Matt Topham's struggling, isn't he? Been overtaken by Dawson, by Andrew Howard and by Giacomo Petrobelli. Now Darren Young closes in the second Blackthorn Aston Martin. Again, it doesn't score points, but it is out there on track and potentially could start getting in between the title contenders. He's actually defending, though, as they arrive at the chicane, and it's Morgan Tilbrook round the outside of Kevin Say. That was a bold move, but Joe, it was a good one.
That was amazing. There was so much confidence placed in Kevin Say. Kevin Say, a lovely driver on and off the track, and luckily for Morgan Tilbrook, he backed out of there. I think Tilbrook could have spun himself around there, but he asked the question of the 18 Mercedes, and Kevin Say backed out of it.
And that was close. Chun Chong Ip up the inside of Richard Neary. I think a bit of paint traded between Honda and Mercedes, and they're still doing battle. Look as they arrive at the final corner. Nick Jones is in behind them. There was a battle in GT4 I spotted in the background. That was Harry George having a go at Ravi Ramyeed. Does the BMW appear still in second? It does, so no change in the order.
Better of it, and it's now the battle behind, isn't it, between McDermott in the Mercedes and the 14 BMW of Chris Salkoud, and there's that given Mark Warren a chance. This is really a 5-car battle, super intense.
Yeah, second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth in GT4 title contenders topping and tailing this group for now. That, as it stands, would be the championship situation. It's fairly straightforward, though. Whoever finishes ahead of the other out of these two teams really should end up walking away with the championship at the end of the day. At the moment, it's Advantage Century, but that, of course, is a teammate car to the number 90, which is challenging them. So that's an extra little layer of spice to add to that battle.
But you can't pit for wets until someone else or everyone does. Or there's a full course yellow. Nick Jones losing the Porsche down the Craner curves, has got it facing the right way, and will be able to rejoin hopefully just before the GT4 field comes through. But that's your illustration. Craner curves is easy flat in the dry. It is not dry. Last laps were well over a second off the pace, so this is getting more and more of a concern and issue as their contact under braking there between Neary and Smith. You would say, well, because there wasn't much gap as we picked it up at the apex.
Richard Neary at one point was developing a real reputation for being a wet weather specialist, and these could be the perfect conditions for the former Donington winner in British GT to make some progress. He almost gets attacked, though, by the Ferrari, which clipped the tyre stack and knocked it out of position. That could be treacherous for GT4.
The top teams need to get onto the drivers in GT4 and say the line is different. As you can see, a great move from Kevin Say down the inside of Topham. He's now on the back of the Optimum McLaren of Morgan Tilbrook. But watch the GT4. Suddenly they've been stolen 4 foot of curb on the left-hand side. The teams need to be communicating.
And into the Melbourne hairpin we go, and off goes the GT4 number 31 Aston Martin. That's the old hairpin, that's in the gravel, and that, Joe, might be going no further.
Yeah, it's going to be a full course yellow, isn't it? Potentially into safety car. Everyone will be told that, so there will be yellow flags in that sector. But this could go into a full course yellow and a lengthy one, couldn't it, to move the tyres back at the chicane and do 2 incidents for the price of 1.
And this is bad news, isn't it, for any team that has a substantial compensation time to serve in the pit lane. What they really want, and remember that 42 car is one of them, is a green flag first hour, build a gap, keep the field nicely spread out, so that when you do have to serve the extra time, 20 seconds extra in the case of car 42, you don't lose as much track position. Early safety cars are not good for 2C's motorsport. The pace slows, the full course yellow is being thrown, and the pace therefore will reduce. We get the notification slightly later than the drivers did, I think, that the full course yellow was out, and yeah, I agree, this will almost certainly eventually lead to a safety car period. Rob Collard, though, gets the race back underway, already weaving around to try and generate some tyre temperature, and there is definitely fresh rain falling as they head for Redgate corner. Pick your braking point. The leaders have got into the corner okay, but this is properly treacherous.
Yeah, that is slippery. You can see on the Delta of Petrobelli, who's already a second down. Look at the tyre marks being left. No one has any idea who's got the grip, who doesn't. This has got to have someone going off through Craner curves, because this is seriously wet. Crank the traction control up, boys. Lift your your vision up, get off the racing line, try and find some grip off the slippery bit. Everyone has done phenomenally well thus far, because this is now getting to a point where we've got to box for wet tyres.
Oh, and off goes Richard Neary. He's heading for the barriers. Crunch into the tyre wall he goes. And Richard Neary is off the road, the first to be caught out by the conditions, perhaps not the last. It doesn't look quite as bad at this part of the circuit, but the rain is heading this way. And yes, it is raining. Look at the top of the hill at Coppice Corner. Richard Neary gets going again. That's good news. Nick Jones is off again. He's really not enjoying himself this afternoon. 2 spins already in these slippery conditions. What about GT4? It's still Century ahead, and the BMW looking a bit more sure-footed perhaps than the McLaren. Oh, and here comes Petrobelli to the inside of the old hairpin. There is contact, and around goes Dawson. No, the championship leader is off the road. So is Petrobelli, and Tilbrook got past the lot of them. Charles Dawson's championship leading car is off the road. It carries on, and they almost make secondary contact, but that was exactly what we feared. In these conditions, a championship on the line, and it's 2 of the contenders who come together, Joe.
My instinct was Petrobelli was down the inside enough for that to be a legitimate move, and Dawson closed the door on him. That's my first take on it. There was that awkward moment when they locked eyes, sat across each other on the track. Kevin Say now has gone off as well. That could have been more contact. He was in a cluster of cars coming up to Coppice. This is all kicking off. We've got the championship on the line. I don't know where to call it. Will Petrobelli have damage? Will Dawson have damage?
Giacomo Petrobelli starts to join in as well. Charles Dawson then to the front of the group, but we believe, Joe, there's been a little bit of paint traded.
Yeah, the front of this Mercedes has popped up, hasn't it, the bonnet, and you can see why it's loaded in the back there. That could have easily damaged the radiator and just the bodywork. So Dawson here's the onboard. We brake too late, and we'll be hard into the ABS. Bang! And just locks up. He was hyper fixated with the rear of that Honda rather than looking at the apex. And I mean, he then gets the move done. Is that going to attract some interest from race control? Is that bonnet going to fly up? The Mercedes runs what I'd call a standard road car bonnet configuration, where it lifts up from the front. So if the air gets under and those latches fail, the little black dots on the corner of the latches down to the chassis, that could fly up, and that would be race over because the windstream would be destroyed.
Between the 2 of them as they head through, off goes Tilbrook. Off goes Tilbrook, bounces through the gravel. Is it raining again? I thought I saw some spots on the camera lens then. Through goes Darren Leung, and that is for 3rd position. I was just about to make the point that Tilbrook was only a 2.5 seconds behind Alex Martin at the beginning of the lap, and then off the road he goes. He survived it, but that could prove to be a costly loss of time.
Yeah, in that McLaren in front, Mark leaving the door open, now closes it. Smart driving again, so Darren has to go around the outside. This will then maybe be a lunge on the BMW into the old hairpin. Darren decides not, positions the car well to make it obvious to Ravi Rami that he's not coming past. Now he's going to try and blast round the outside. Ravi gives him space, so that was efficient use of traffic. But you can see how tight it is in places here at Donington Park. It's difficult with the slower GT4 cars.
By allowing Kevin Say through, so Kevin has to sit behind the GT4 car through the crane of curves, and now goes to the inside of the old hairpin. That's going to delay Mark Warren slightly on the exit of the corner. He just has to hope that the same thing happens when those 2 come up to overtake Ravi Rami. But this is the life of a GT4 driver, isn't it?
Have we got a puncture?
Oh, with off the pace and off the racing line, or were we just allowing Andrew Howard through? That did look odd, didn't it?
Yeah, it's hard with the GT3s to gauge. I just was amazed how offline and how slow and how much time we've lost. It looks okay now, so I take back my rash statement at the start, but look how much time we've lost to the BMW in front. We were only, what, 2 car lengths behind into turn 1, and we're now losing time. The GT3s pull away. All looks normal now to me, but suddenly I just thought we had no pace. Dawson's confidence is awesome, isn't it? But Tilbrook, now the first car Dawson's caught, that's for championship potentially. So Tilbrook is going to be robust. He's going to be fired up. He's closing the door left and right. Dawson trying to fill the space, trying to spot the gap. We're going to get a run. Tilbrook with a huge number.
Oh, no!
Turns him around, and that's going to be damage. Tilbrook does well. He's going to get in the gravel. He should get out of it. Is there going to be more damage on that McLaren? Whose fault was that?
It's popped the radiator grill off, I think, hasn't it? Hopefully nothing more than that, but that could definitely be a talking point. Tilbrook rejoins right in front of a group of cars, including the GT4 leader, and that is the 2nd time now that Charles Dawson has tangled with a championship rival. I'm not saying either of them were his fault necessarily, but within, what, the 53 minutes he's been in the car, he's already had contact with both of the cars that could potentially beat 42 to the championship. Joe, what drama?
I think it's on Dawson. I think he puts a right wheel on the inside as he's trying to get down. And I think as he does that, that pops the car up. There, look, he's on the grass. He's into the side of Tilbrook. It's so difficult when you get these shots. There's so much at stake. So just watch here. We get the cutback. All fair. We touch the grass. Now we pop up. We understeer. We hit the back of Tilbrook. We spin him around. All I would say is, what can Tilbrook do? You can see Dawson, hands off the wheel. Wow, what happened there?
Driver changes, etc. This for the race lead, though. They're negotiating Nick Jones's lapped and delayed Porsche. Alex Martin, quite clearly the quicker of these two Lamborghinis at the moment, and he's got at least another lap after this one, I think, to try and make the move on track.
Yeah, Rob Collard has just got no pace whatsoever. Like you said, we've got to do another lap after this one before they can pit. No obvious problems with the #1 car. It just looks like the pace has gone away from him. He'll be reporting to the team. The team live telemetry can see the pressures diving past the GT4. It's starting to look a bit frantic, isn't it, from Rob Collard?
Yeah, it is. This is not what we expected to see. He'll be quite grateful, I think, to see the end of this stint. Martin maybe quicker, but overtaking opportunities in a GT3 car are limited somewhat. This is one of the easier circuits on which to overtake because you've got those big braking zones at the end of the lap, but difficult sometimes to follow through the high-speed stuff. The Century pit stop is, to all intents and purposes, done. They're now just waiting for the minimum pit stop time plus the 15-second compensation time to tick down. There's a little bit of work being done still, cleaning the windscreen on the 90 car. These are the little things that, if you are a slick operation, which Optimum and Century Motorsport both are, you have time to do. Charles Dawson on the curb on the outside of Redgate Corner, going for third place, getting third place. Say what you like about Charles Dawson, but at no point in this first hour has he ever settled for anything.
The lap times are starting to ever so slightly drop off, and we're going to go full course yellow to finally get that Morgan Tilbrook car. Now all the pit stops have been done, we can go to this full course yellow, and it's going to neutralise everyone. Will this go to a safety car? If the recovery goes well, I would say not, but we saw a recovery not go well earlier on, didn't we, which then led us into a safety car.
Yeah, I suspect the intention is to not go safety car, but we'll have to wait and see how long this takes. It's in a slightly precarious position, but I think they will have a live snatch vehicle up at McLean's, which they can use to get that 77 McLaren out of harm's way. So, Sandy Mitchell, your race leader then, in the number 78 Barbell Motorsport Lamborghini. There is the recovery operation beginning at the McLean's corner. Hugo Cook in second. He'll be praying for a safety car to try and bridge that 9-second deficit that he's got at the moment to his teammate. And the charging Marcus Clutton in third position in the non-point scoring number 67 car. In GT4, meanwhile, Optimum Motorsport, they have found themselves in the lead of the class by the looks of it, and after the driver change to put Jack Brown in the car, yes, they are ahead. They're ahead in the race, they're ahead in the championship, and they are actually considerably up the road from the Charlie Robertson BMW. They've got two cars between them and the Century Motorsport BMW. Century, another team, I think, here, who are desperately hoping for a safety car.
Yeah, they really need it. What was the stat you told me about Century and new BMWs?
Yes, so every time that they have brought a new generation of the BMW M4 GT4 model into British GT, they did that in 2018, 2021 and 2023, they have won the championship that year. Well, they brought this Evolution BMW in this year, and might that run come to an end? There's a lot to play out still, though, before we crown any champions, Joe. I would not count them out. And now we've gone back racing again, and it looked as though maybe some were a little bit quicker to react than others, Joe.
Yeah, Griffin got past Nick Yelly that we're on board now. Was that slow from Nick? Was that the team not communicating? There's a few ways as a driver, you know it's going back to green. You get the short warning, 10 seconds. You're then looking at the driver display in the car that's saying ready right now. You're looking at marshals, you're looking at the light panels, you're listening to your radio, but it seemed like AF Course got the jump on platform there, and Griffin saw the door open and slithering past.
Yeah, but you can see the rain coming in. That's heavier than I've seen for a while, Joe. This is starting to get a little bit treacherous.
Yeah, curbs will get getting slicker and slicker as Hopkinson cuts off the nose of Hugo Cook. Look how wet it is there. That's suddenly transformed. Lap times are going to fall 10, 12 seconds a lap slower. And if Bryn is able to feel the rain on his scalp through that heavily gelled hair, imagine how slippy it is for all of these drivers out there.
The race leader, Sandy Mitchell, does a 1:40. That's 13 seconds off the pace. We're on board now with Kian Jewis down into the Melbourne hairpin, and this will give us a really good idea of just how tricky the conditions are He's under attack as well, Joe.
Yeah, because he got trying to go around the outside, just caught him in the mirror. We're tiptoeing here. It's so slippy. It's like on the bathroom floor when you get out of the shower, but you're wearing high heels that are covered in olive oil. He's trying to get the grip. He's lobbing the lock on. He's just trying to feel it. It's a good technique now to turn into the corner aggressively, break the front traction. We're making an adjustment on the center console there. And imagine that's a throttle map, trying to smooth out the throttle pickup so it's not as aggressive. That Mercedes V8 has got so much torque. Gert's trying to get to the inside, but there won't be much grip there.
Hugo Cook there slips wide out of Redgate corner as he puts a lap on the Honda. Marcus Clutton has been relishing these conditions. A man who's done most of his early racing up at Alton Park, where these sort of conditions are par for the course, knows his way around a damp and greasy racetrack, and he is now starting to take some big chunks of time out of Hugo Cook ahead. Martin Plowman, by the way, has overtaken Johnny Adam on the previous lap for 4th position. Plowman, that car, the Paddock Motorsport McLaren, was really quick in very similar conditions to these in pre-qualifying yesterday. Yeah. McLaren's right round the outside of the old hairpin. That is uber brave. There's a bit of paint traded. He's sideways up the curb, but Charlie Robertson keeps on coming. This is his one and only opportunity to get that car back in contention, but Joey's got to keep it on the road.
The spray coming out of these slicks shows how little grip there is. There must be close to aquaplaning in places. Luke Hopkinson unwinding the lock, easing Charlie Robertson onto the slippery exit curb at the old hairpin. He's playing for his own game, but he's also playing for the option game. Needs the door open now. Robertson sent it to the inside. This is getting desperate. Robertson's got nothing to lose. If he wants the championship, he's got to make this move.
He was quicker than Jack Brown again on the previous lap, but of course every lap that the 17 car keeps the BMW behind, it gives an extra bit of buffer to their teammate Jack Brown, who is currently in a position to win the championship in car number 90.
But this is the battle that rages on. Jewis, I feel like, is getting team orders from Gertz. I think Gertz could have got past if he wanted to. Let's see if that stays true. Griffin doesn't care about that, of course. The 17 car there of Hopkinson has got back past Charlie Robertson. We haven't seen that, but it's got past, so I'd assume that's a mistake from Robertson because this car didn't have the pace. A few laps ago, it's going to go through the gravel. Keep it pinned now, and actually you won't lose too much time. Get over to the right, block the run from Robertson, but showing you the conditions not easy, and you've got 4 GT3 cars about to attack you. It was like he was teasing Robertson, wasn't he? Giving him the eyes across the bar saying, come over. And then when he came over, he punched him in the face. He's now checked out to 5 seconds. He's got Plowman just coming past him in the background. Here he's safe. And I just don't think Jack Brown's bothered by this Ginetta, the race leader whatsoever. That isn't his focus. Focus is purely on the championship. But Mahiki's focus will be on winning this race. Seb Morris there in the 12 car on the wet tyres. Now a great illustration of why you don't want to be on wets. That is a very expensive German shopping trolley, as the tyre tread now has become like molten lava and it's squidging all over the place, and that looks horrible. He doesn't, but he has to, because the just has no pace. 2 seconds lost on the last lap, but this is now costing him time, which is letting Robertson get even closer. Look how close Jack Brown is. He's sponsored by XPEL. That's the body armour for cars. He needs that because that car is going to get pebble dashed from the Ginetta. Ginetta looks okay. Pace looks okay now. Was it a mistake? Was it the MKH Aston Martin hold up? This is actually what Jack Brown will want. He'll want that Ginetta just to go away. He's an annoying wasp in your very small car. Just get out my way and let me crack on, because I'm still going to be champion, but don't cost me any time, because you can see Charlie Robertson is in the background. Luke Hopkinson has caught back up as well. There's so many dynamics at play, and this is how a championship should be decided. Whoever finishes in front on track of the last race of the year is champion, and right now that's the 90 car.
It's remarkable we're even in this position, really. When Ravi Ramyid had his sizable accident at Alton Park in the first race, it was a non-finish. The car was too badly damaged to do race 2, and it really looked as though Optimum had it in the bag. And then that lap 1 incident at Brands Hatch last time turned the GT4 championship on its head, and now Jack Brown somehow has got this car into a championship winning position, but with so many variables, so many things happening around him that are largely out of his control, he's just got to try and keep his cool. He's Blake Anglis not close enough to challenge, but wide goes Brown. He outbraked himself slightly, perhaps conscious of an attack coming from the Ginetta, but he fends him off, gets off the corner well. That lap, he's definitely lost time to Robertson. Brown might be the leader, but that was a 1:36.5 against a 35.5 for Robertson, and Anglis has not given up, Joe. No.
And Owen Hizzy now in the 31 MKH car that I said don't pay attention to. Suddenly is the quickest car in this 5-group battle. It's not for position, but he might want to get involved. The Ginetta now is the car behind. What can he do as a GT3 car of Gotts, who is now in 3rd place as Clutton has stayed out on those wet tyres. So this is the battle, subclass racing going on all the way down the field.
Yeah, Clutton's down to 8th in GT3 now on those fading wet tyres. So you're right, Maxi Gertz is into a podium place. Kian Jewis is up into 4th position. All eyes though on GT4. This for the race lead, and it has potentially enormous championship ramifications. Has Jack Brown, do you think, got the pace to get away from the Ginetta at the moment? That doesn't seem to be the case.
If we saw the shot again, they're nose to tail here. This is going on, but I don't think Robertson's got a particularly well-handling car.
No, and I think this is now costing him any chance of chasing after Jack Brown. The Honda comes up the inside of this battling pair of GT4s. It's for a place on the podium. It has championship ramifications, and it still is BMW ahead. There's more contact. How have they not had an accident on this lap, Joe? 2 or 3 tyres now they've touched, and once again they might be side by side towards the braking zone. Look at the damage on the front of the McLaren. That was quite a big hit.
Yeah, the McLaren's got an uglier nose than me now. It's hanging off. It's now down the inside. The move is done. The BMW is strong, and it doesn't look too badly damaged. Oh, you can cheer again, boys. Yeah, that's it. You can see them there. And Robertson loading up. This is getting to a point now where it's not particularly bright, smart, or pleasant to watch.
Yeah, Robertson's had enough, hasn't he? He feels that this has cost him a shot at the championship. I'm not 100% sure that that's necessarily the case. He didn't really have the pace to go after Brown anyway in the last couple of laps, but Luca Hopkinson certainly not making life any easy for Charlie Robertson. Charlie, I think, has had more than enough of that Optimum Motorsport McLaren. The GT3 leader, by the way, Sandy Mitchell, is now on his final lap of the race. I don't really want to take my eyes off this, Joe. This was the moment it very nearly ended in disaster.
Tyre wall hit, back of Robertson here, and then it's just all starting to fall apart, isn't it? That number 17 McLaren has had more hits than an OnlyFans page now, and it is completely destroyed. He'll be hoping he can get that car to the end of the race. The leader is on the last lap, but Robertson's still looming. Bodywork hanging off the rear as well on that McLaren.
Sandy Mitchell there is going through McLaren's now. The last thing he wants to do is overtake this group of cars, because I have a feeling that scores are about to be settled between Robertson and Hopkinson. Sandy Mitchell just wants to get as far away from them as possible. Absolutely phenomenal performance this from Barwell Motorsport. They dominated qualifying. They've run 1st and 2nd through the entire race, through all of the drama, the changeable conditions. They might not be a championship winning run this year for Sandy Mitchell or indeed Barwell Motorsport, but they have absolutely proven why they're the top team in the championship. It looked like Robertson was having a go at Hopkinson. Although he's back ahead. That's 3rd place in GT4. That's going to go right down to the wire. Sandy Mitchell, though, into the final corner. I'm sure he'll be trying hard not to be distracted by what's going on in his mirrors. It will be a victory for Sandy Mitchell and Alex Martin. Barwell Motorsport victorious at Donington Park, and in a sensational performance it was for 3rd in GT4. Hopkinson gets it by 26 thousandths of a second. That really did run onto the checkered flag, and I suspect, Joe, the conversations might continue beyond it.
Yeah, Optimum Happy GT4 champions.
So, your champions provisionally, your race winners, I should say, provisionally. Barwell Motorsports, Sandy Mitchell and Alex Martin win outright, and in GT3 Pro-Am. Beach Team Motorsport are your Silver Ham winners as well. It was the 78 car that led a Barwell Motorsport 1-2, though. Hugo Cook and Rob Collard 2nd, with Kevin Say and Maxi Gertz moving into 3rd in the closing stages. 4th was enough for the championship for Kian Jewis and Charles Dawson, with Nick Yellerly and Darren Young's non-point scoring Aston Martin in 5th ahead of Beach Team. Then it was Spirit of Races for the Orange Racing by JMH McLaren 8th, 9th for Team ABBA Racing, and Paddock Motorsport in 10th. In GT4, it was a race win in the end for Mark Warren and Jack Brown, and that was enough to secure the championship victory in the end by 16 points over Century Motorsport. Mahiki's Ginetta was 2nd, the 2nd Optimum car was 3rd, and Charlie Robertson and Ravi Ramid had to settle for 4th in the end. Not quite enough for the championship, which goes the way of Optimum Motorsport.